Hey, what's up, everybody? Kyle Barboza here, bass player, music educator, and I want to talk about pick playing today. And admittedly, this is not an expertise for me. I'm like a lot of bass players where like 95 to 99% of the time I'm playing fingerstyle, and as a result, I feel way more comfortable with my fingers than I do with a pick. So, I wanted to do a lesson on something that I'm practicing that I think is actually a technique it's been holding me back, and it might be holding you back as well with this guy. So here we go. Okay, so there's two little techniques that are holding me back, and they both have to do with going from one string to another. And the first one is simply when you're downstroking a lower string and upstroking a higher string. Okay, so for example, from the A string to the D string, if I downstroke the A string and then upstroke the D string, my pick is playing on the outside of both of those strings, okay, like this. All right, and that's been something that, especially if I'm skipping a couple strings, right? It's been something that has hung me up. I notice that my technique kind of gets out of whack when I do that. The other thing is just the opposite. It's when you downstroke a higher string and upstroke a lower string. So for example, again, for the A string and the D string, if I were to downstroke the A string and downstroke the D string and upstroke the A string, so you're on the inside of both strings, that's something that has also hung me up, kind of like this. As you can see right there, right? Okay, so I've been thinking of different ways to isolate these two things. And honestly, I've got two main ways of practicing this that I want to share with you that might be helpful to you. The first is by what you'd probably expect, which is like, going to your scales, going to your arpeggios, and finding ways to use that, since scales are not something that's mindless, but it's something that we know the sound of. It's something that we practice a lot. So for me, when I'm practicing scales and trying to get these techniques in, I'm not thinking a ton about the scales themselves. I'm more thinking about the pick technique. So I want you to find simple ways. We'll start with some really, really simple ways that, like, even for beginners, it won't clog the CPU, so to speak, and it will allow you to concentrate on the pick. And then a couple things that you can expand into that are a little more advanced. I'm going to play root and fifth in different combinations of upstrokes and downstrokes. So the first thing I'm going to do is a downstroke, upstroke, and a downstroke, upstroke on each string, okay? And metronome. For sure, use a metronome and go slow enough, like any other practice, go slow enough to where you are successful on this. Start there and then speed up. So, here we go. 1, 5, 1, 5. Looking for even sound here. And honestly, because I've been practicing this for about the last week, I'm already hearing a big difference in my sound. Believe me, last week, even on the upstroke, downstroke like this, man, I was really uneven on these. Okay, sticking with the 1-5 now. Now let's start getting that string skipping thing that I'm talking about. Let's play 3 strokes on the low string and 1 upstroke on the high string. So it's gonna go down, and then up on the 5th, okay? Once I get that really smooth, I'm going to start speeding it up. Okay? I'll take this exercise and I'll now go up the scale. Actually, instead of going 1-5, how about 1 octave? Let's get first the root note and then the octave above it. So now we're skipping 2 strings on this exercise. By going up the scale. skip 3 strings and do tenths. Go up the scale. Again, you should have heard me a few days ago on this. Oops. That was atrocious. I'm getting there. Okay, I already feel a lot more comfortable on it. Now you can go to, let's say, 1 downstroke on the low string and 3 on the higher string. So down and then up, down, up on the higher string. Skip to the octave. Do the 5th and the octave. Do 2 strings. Do more chords. 1, 4, 5. Five, 6, 4. Octaves. Okay, so as you can see, like, you can expand this, even with the simple stuff, you can expand this to so many things. And again, I'm getting that technique. Now that whole series of exercises that I just did, and pick 1 or 2 of those a day, right? That whole series of exercises was working on that downstroke on the low string and upstroke on the higher string. Let's find a few that work on the downstroke on the higher string, upstroke on the lower string. And honestly, all you really have to do to start is just reverse the 5th and octave if you want to. Okay, start with the 5th and go to the octave. Check it out. If I downstroke the 5th and up, down, up the octave, I'm going to get that same, I'm going to get the different technique, but the same exercise. Doing the chord progression. This sounds pretty cool. If you want to keep expanding this even more, you can move into arpeggio exercises, which is really a lot of what I'm doing. I'm using interval exercises and arpeggios on this to make this a little more musical, but also making me skip the strings in different ways. G major, A minor, which is doing the inside techniques. That's the reverse. So go up 1, down the other, up the next, down the next. Okay, so this is a little more advanced. But if you know your arpeggios, if you know your arpeggios, you can get a lot of mileage out of just these arpeggio exercises. Another thing I like to do is different in going up and down the scales using a certain interval. Like I'm going to use sixths for this one, like G to E. I'm still in the key of G. G to E, A to F sharp, B to G. What am I? C to A. Okay, so. Minutes on that for a few days. That's how far I got. So the other thing I've been doing for 10 or 15 minutes is to put on a
jam track that I like.
some type of track without a bass, and I'm trying to play a funky bass line, something that's like a little more rhythmic, something that I would definitely normally play with my fingers. That's the point. Something you'd normally play with your fingers that's a little more rhythmic, where you can concentrate on just making a bass line that sounds good. Check it out, I'll show you. I'm just gonna do a simple groove and try to stick to that groove, and I'm gonna notice where I might use this technique in it. So if I play some boom, 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 I'm using that inside pick here, right? Right there. But yeah, do that for 10, 15 minutes of focused time. Don't just play through. Come up with a bass line and then think about the exact picking you're using and how you're going to execute it. Pause it for a second and work on it. 2, 3, 1, 2, 2. So yeah, it's fun. I mean, that's just fun. So yeah, guys, I mean, like I said, this is something that I'm consciously working on right now, but hopefully this is one of those technical details that I bet many of you might find useful. So that was kind of the point of this one. Speaking of isolating techniques, working on things that are useful to you, many of you know I'm a private teacher. Genres, styles, techniques, anything bass, and anything songwriting as well. Let me know. My email is in the description. Hit me up on that email. Let me know you're interested. I've got a wait list right now up until the summer, but come summertime, I'll get in contact with you, and if you want to work with me, let's work one-on-one, and let's get you to your full potential. All right, that's it for this one, everybody. Hope you have a great week. Be there for the next one. Thanks for watching. Take care.